Super Rugby round 16 is done. Saturday games, all five of them finished. Pretty entertaining round, I must say. Interesting which teams kind of had to absolutely get a win. This round they managed to pull it off, like the Waratahs on the Friday game managed to kind of keep their season alive. Similar with this week, although kind of like the Blues, not everybody was able to get it done. We'll start with the first one. The Brumbies visiting the Sunwolves. The scoreline looks like it was another big hiding for the Sunwolves, 42 points to 19. And I mean, it was pretty high scoring, but I feel like it did have a different feeling about it. The Sunwolves were better than we've seen from them in some of their recent games. It was actually a pretty entertaining game. Interesting. My wife has put a little note at the bottom of my game notes, and I've only just seen that, so she's a funny one. Anyway, this game started off really quickly with a Salmaki try. Got the Sunwolves underway within the first minute. 7-0 was a loose ball from a high kick, and that guy really looks good. I wish he'd played all season. Him and Van den Heever would have made quite the wing combo. And the Sunwolves survived like the first Brumbies maul. When they set the maul to attack, the Brumbies weren't able to get the try that way. Although a few minutes later, they did end up scoring with Samu from a big overlap. But they stopped the Kurandrani run and they stopped the maul, so it looked like the Sunwolves defence was going to be on point. They stopped their second Brumbies maul, although it got a bit closer. And then 20 minutes, the Brumbies actually took the lead, a lot of pressure. He beat a defender on the way to the try, did Simone, and it was 14 points to 7. Spate got a cross kick, and Banks picked up the ball from his ankles, made it 21-7, good bit of skill from him. Although perhaps the try of the match was Masarewa's try on 38 minutes. He beat about 3 defenders. It was a great effort. They missed the conversion, which is unusual for Parker, 21 points to 12. And then Parker missed touch with he was just trying to chew off as many meters as he could. Right on half time, they got a penalty. He kicked for touch and missed it, so that was the end of the first half. 21 points to 12. McInerney came on at hooker for the Brumbies in the second half, and that guy had a field day. The Maul did start to get some pay in that second half. He got a try on 48 minutes. It had initially come from a scrum penalty, and they won the line out, so yeah, the scrum was a bit costly there. 28 points to 12. Booth got his try for the Sunwolves, and it was Masarewa who set that one up. He had a really good game. It was 28-19, so the Sunwolves never really letting the game get away too much, although McInerney got 2 tries. Again, both from the back of the Mauls. 35-19 and then 42-19. So that was kind of the difference there. That Maul finally starting to get some pay against the Sunwolves, but they did really well to hold it out for as long as they did. And it was a back and forth game where the Sunwolves weren't just getting run over. They kind of just conceded those points late. Run meters, 351 to 420. Possession 55% to the Brumbies, 60% territory. So they're still the edge of the game. They deserve the win clearly. But I mean, you look at the tries. They only just 6 tries to 3. They only just managed to get that bonus point, which was kind of crucial for the Aussie Conference. So they got exactly what the doctor ordered, did the Brumbies, in getting a bonus point. They maybe worked a little bit harder than they had to, not to get the win, but at least to get the bonus point win. You look at the tackling percentages, the Sunwolves were actually 2% higher than the Brumbies. So that's been one of their big issues this season. But 81% is a very respectable effort, 79 for the Brumbies. So the Sunwolves, they travel away to play the Stormers in their next game, so that'll be tough. And the Brumbies will face the Waratahs in Sydney. I don't know where that game's being played. They're moving around so much, but the Waratahs are going to be like a bear trapped in a corner kind of thing. So that will be a really tough game. They are first in the Aussie Conference now, are the Brumbies. They are 3rd overall. They are 5 points ahead of the Rebels, so that Rebels loss kind of did them a pretty good favour there. The next one, oh my, this game. If there was an ad for Super Rugby, this game should probably be the ad. It was over in Fiji, so it was a Chiefs home game, although it was in Fiji, and the Crusaders seemed to have a lot of fans there, a lot of supporters in that Fijian crowd. But man, what a game. The Chiefs seemed dead and buried in this one, and I should say the crowd was amazing. It was loud, it was full. It's what you want when you're watching a Super Rugby game. Mo'unga started with a penalty. Scott Barrett got a 40-metre try, via Ryan Crotty. It still started from a Chiefs knock-on, so kind of punishing the mistakes. And interestingly, Mo'unga had to drop goal his conversion because as he was making his run-in, the ball fell off the tee, but everyone kind of froze and thought, oh, what do we do now? Do we have to go back? So instead of keeping on with the charge down to stop the 2 points, he had time to pick up the ball and just drop kick it over. So that was something you don't see every day. It was 10-0. Then Drummond got a try after a maul. Parete was already moving wide and Drummond just went into the gap. 15-0. Reese went down the wing from a scrum set piece. They missed the conversion. 20 points to 0 after about 20 minutes. And it was looking pretty terrible for the Chiefs. But this game wasn't just going to go by the book. So Alamalo got a try. He stepped Havili, and that was a pretty sickening step, man. He made him look, real silly, but that was exactly what Alamalo was good at. He stepped Havili. It was from an Ardron pop pass. They missed the conversion there, so it was 20 points to 5. Chiefs are on the board. Nankivell kicked through at one point and Goodhue managed to cover, so the Crusaders were under a bit of pressure. But then 34 minutes, Takiaho gets a try. They go through some phases. It's about 1 metre out. He just gets over the line and just kind of rolls over, puts it down. 12 points to 20, and then Parete gets a try straight after that, and it's 19-20. That's how it goes in at halftime. So a half of 2 halves. All Crusaders for the first 20, all Chiefs for the second. Only 1 point in it at halftime. Totally game on after looking dead and buried. Second half though, Crusaders strike. Enor gets a try. They just find the extra man after going through some phases. It's 27 points to 19. You're thinking, all right, the Crusaders have had a word at halftime and they've figured things out. They're going to be back to normal. But no, Weber gets a try. And that guy, the commentators mentioned it as well. He just seemed like he was everywhere. That guy is amazing. There were some great hands in the lead up. 27 points to 26, back to 1 point. Stevenson goes through a gap, real gas on him. The Chiefs take the lead, 33 points to 27. Debrasini missed the penalty on 77 minutes. And the Crusaders take a short restart, but it is read by Manu, and he goes in for a try. It is converted. It is 40 points to 27. That game had everything. Look at the run meters, man. 718 to the Chiefs, 630 to the Crusaders. That's a lot of run meters. The previous game, the most was 420, and that's not bad either. Crazy. Territory, the Chiefs edged at 55% and possession. Penalty count was only 6-3. Which was an interesting one. That's a very low penalty count for two teams to only concede 9 penalties in the whole game. I think I saw on Twitter, it might have been Sumo, Scotty Stevenson, saying that lenient New Zealand refs are going to cost New Zealand at the World Cup because we're too used to refs who don't ping everything, and he might have a point there because this game was very free-flowing and not all refs will let that kind of game flow. Tackling percentages were not that great. 70% for the Chiefs, 80% for the Crusaders. So, it kind of let the game flow a bit as well. But man, it was a great game, a great ad for Super Rugby, great tries, great crowd, great comeback. Not always the best hands. It wasn't flawless, but it was certainly entertaining. Sam came with his turnovers. Weber just seemed everywhere. Takiaho had like a huge line break. It was amazing. So this game had a real bit of everything. If you only watch one game this week, that's probably the game to watch. Crusaders go on to host the Rebels. I think they said the Crusaders still need 2 more points to guarantee they finish top of everything. So they'll certainly get that. But they've only got 1 game to go, so maybe the Rebels will be desperate. Seems unlikely, but hey. The Chiefs go on to the bye. So the Chiefs are one of the teams that absolutely needed a win. and they sure got it. So they're on 31 points. They're in ninth. They really need the Sharks and the Bulls to do them a favor next week and lose, basically. But we will see what happens there. The next one, the Reds and the Jaguares. Another good, entertaining game. I stayed up to watch this one rather than going to bed early to get up to watch these ones. I made the call. It was pretty bloody cold last night, but I stayed up under the blanket on the couch. Typical Aucklander, afraid of the cold. That's not all that cold, really, in the scheme of things. I have lived abroad, so I know it does get colder than Auckland. Anyway, Feo Saltia got the try, set up by Karevi, 7-0 for the Reds. And at that point, it looked like my Super Brew was just going absolutely down the drain, because apart from the Sunwolves game, I don't think I'd picked any as yet. I don't know how many of you guys picked the Chiefs to beat the Crusaders. Bonisia kicks a penalty, 16 minutes, 7-3. Hegarty hits back 10-3. Carreras gets his try from Malia. Chip. All from the Reds kind of messing up their own line-out. And it's 10 points to 8. So the game has also got that back and forward flow, which if you're going to watch a rugby game, I guess is pretty nice, that it's competitive. Escura got his try. A nice little dummy pass, made it 15 points to 10, so the lead changed there. Hegarty kicks a couple of penalties, puts the Reds back out in front, so the lead changes again, 16-15. The Reds turn down 3 in the second half. They go for the lineup, they go for the maul, but they get pushed out into touch. There's a bit of handbag, so you can feel the Reds absolutely need this win. They're pushing for it, but it's not happening. Then Montoya, 54 minutes, gets a try after going through some phases. They had advantage, but they went for it, and it was 22-16, so the lead changed once again. 70 minutes, Kremer gets his try. He goes absolutely right through Samu Karevi. He just had the momentum. He's got the bulk. It was kind of one phase after them all, 29-16. But then the Reds aren't done, because Jock Campbell gets his try. It was TMO'd. He thought he hadn't scored it, but he had forced it down. 29 points to 23. Big conversion from Hegarty to keep them in the game. And right towards the end, they are attacking, but Carreras goes for a very bold intercept. It's kind of a do-or-die intercept. He gets it from a Karevi pass, and that gives the Jaguares a 34-23 win. Massive win for the Jaguares. That puts them top in South Africa, second overall. They're on 41 points. I think the next best South African team is the Lions on 35. So with the Jaguares going home to play the Sharks back to Argentina, it's really their top spot to lose, because if they just do their business, then they will finish top of the South African Conference. Somebody will have to travel to Argentina for a quarterfinal. The Reds will go on to play the Blues in what is pretty much a nothing game now, because both those teams seem to be kind of out of it. I think the Reds, I think it would take a mathematical miracle. It's just not going to happen. And the Blues aren't much better. But yeah, man, the Jaguares, at one point they replaced pretty much their entire forward pack, not just the front row. They brought on all their forward replacements, and it really gave them a bit of a kick into the game. And they were just so good at the breakdown, so many turnovers. Brad Thorne mentioned that at halftime. That was an area they were really struggling with. But yeah, run meters 5:13, 4:13, so 100 meters in it to the Reds. Possession slightly edged it for the Reds, like 52% in territory. Tackling percentages were pretty even, 86, not 10% in it, 76. But yeah, man, the Jaguares really struck at those key moments, managed the game pretty well. Yeah, interesting one that they had the Indigenous jerseys for the Reds this weekend. They had an Aboriginal kind of performance that was reminiscent of the haka. Kind of a challenge, it seemed. I hadn't seen one of those done in Australia before, so that was something a bit different. But yeah, cool stuff. Interesting game. Jaguares fans, man, something to be excited about. Reds, that team doesn't seem that far away. Perhaps next year is the Reds' season to be. The next one, the Sharks and the Hurricanes. I've only seen highlights of this one. 30 points to 17. The Hurricanes get the job done. I don't think the Hurricanes ever really looked in doubt, although the scoreline did kind of get close at one point. So they scored the first try, Geordie Barrett, inside ball from his brother. 7-0, Bosch kicks a penalty, 7-3. Bodie kicks another one and another one, so it's 13-3. And then Lomapi gets a try. It's like from a line-out move, and he looks tackled. And the play keeps going on after he scored it, but then they check it, and he did just get the ball down. So it's 20 points to 3 at that point. But then Fussy gets a try. And one of the Dupree brothers are in the lead-up. So it's 10 points to 20 at halftime. Hurricanes kind of in control, at least from what I've seen. But then Schoolman gets a try in the second half. Schrader had gone close, was 3 points in it, 20 points to 17, but that is as close as it got. Bodie kicks a penalty, 23-17. Hussein gets a try on the wing, 30 points to 17. That's how it finished. That was like in the 65th minute, I think, 66th minute. So there was no scoring towards the end. There was a red card. Fafita put in a big hit on Daniel Dupree, but it was high and it looked pretty bad. So red carded, but there was no score after that, so it didn't make a difference in the end. Although we'll see what he gets in terms of a ban. It could be a bad one for the Hurricanes given the timing of the season. Interestingly, and you guys will have to explain it to me who've seen the game in full, Sharks had some pretty good numbers in the game. More run meters, 493 to 341. Possession was pretty even, but the Sharks had more territory, 60-40. It seems to be the killer for the Sharks here is their tackling. Their defense seems to have been pretty weak. Like the Hurricanes were at 81%, which for Super Rugby is pretty good. The Sharks, 62%. Now that's really bad. That's just over half their tackles being made. So, yeah, very disappointing. The Sharks are just hanging on. They are in a playoff spot just kind of like last year. 8th spot. They are on 33 points. The Hurricanes are still in 4th. I don't think they will move from 4th. That should be it for them. I don't think anyone will pass them for that final home quarterfinal getter. But they're too far away from the Crusaders to catch them in all likelihood. So they will probably finish 4th. The Sharks have got the Jaguares away. That looks like a tough trip at this point, but they'll both be travelling. So there may not be any advantage there. The Hurricanes face the Lions away. So that'll be a game where the Lions are pretty desperate to get a win. I'm not sure how much they'll be in it for the Hurricanes, but will be a good one to see what kind of team they choose for that. The last one. Again, I've only seen highlights. I watched that this morning. Lions get the job done over the Stormers. Now, this was a very big game because both these teams were, I think they were 8th and 9th going into this round on the same points. And whoever won it was going to boost and whoever lost it was going to drop. And that's exactly what's happened here. Crocker Smith got a try early on from a line-out move, but they missed the conversion. 5-0. He almost had a second one not long after, but he couldn't gather the ball. Just before the half hour, Reynolds kicks a penalty, makes it 8-0, but Stander replies with one, makes it 8-3. Andreas Kutsia got a try, has showed some real strength. I don't know he had that kind of power in him, to be fair. He gets over the line, 13 points to 3, they missed the conversion. And then Peter Steph Dutoy gets a try for the Stormers just before half time. Dylan Lades is seen kind of twice in the lead up to that try. 13 points to 10, so it is pretty close going into the break. But then second half, Crocker Smith, who seemed to have a really amazing game, along with Lionel Mapo, who had a line break in the lead up to it as well, made it 20 points to 10. Reynolds actually kicked a really great conversion there. He seemed to get his kicking boots on in the second half. Skorsan got a try again. It was Mapo in the lead up, 27 points to 10. Not to be kind of left for dead though, the Stormers got a try through Yankees. He touched it down against the post after a few phases, brought it within 10 points, 27-17. But then Dianti goes down the wing. That makes it, 34 points to 17. The Lions had some great hands in the lead up to that Dianti try, man. There was multiple guys involved. Stander gets a try for the Stormers, 67 minutes. Looked like it was kind of close to being held up. They missed the conversion, 34 points to 22, but then bonus point try for the Lions right towards the end. Daimani from a Marks offload, Tyrone Green with the line break in the build-up, 41 points to 22. I probably have to go back and watch that one as well because kind of like Similar scoreline to that Chiefs and Crusaders game. It seemed to be full of running, full of tries, proper entertainment. Run meters 639 to 444. So again, a pretty running heavy game. Possession seemed to be pretty much 50-50, although just like I said, the tackling cost the Sharks. It looks to have been tackling that cost the Stormers, because the Lions, whose defence has not been all that good this season, tackled at 85%, whereas the Stormers were at a measly 65. So again, if you're in the 60s, something is going pretty badly wrong. I said they were in 8th and 9th before the game. The Lions are boosted now up to 5th spot. Still behind the Jaguares in the South African Conference, but in a wildcard spot. The Stormers down from 9th into 11th, so they are stuck on 30 points. I mean, they're only 5 points behind the Lions, but bonus point win for the Lions was exactly what the doctor ordered there. They host the Hurricanes next week, so like I said, that's going to be a tough game, because the Hurricanes have been one of the better teams this year in Super Rugby, but the Lions have got more to play for. Unless for some reason the Crusaders lose to the Rebels. And the Stormers have got the Sunwolves. The Stormers, they're in a bit of a corner themselves. Like the Chiefs, they'll need other results to go their way, but bonus point win is exactly what they will need next week. So, those were the Saturday games. Congratulations especially to the Chiefs to keeping their season alive. Brumbies really seizing that opportunity to put control into the Aussie Conference. Jaguares doing the same with the South African Conference. The Sharks probably a bit disappointing there, because their season is looking a bit more difficult at this point, and likewise the Stormers, but kudos to the Lions for putting in a proper good shift as well. You guys let me know your thoughts on the games. How did you think they went? Key performers, key moments, players. How do you think these teams are going to go in terms of playoff spots? And I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.